welcome to the Swift Half, your weekly session of chat from the UK OCR and adventure running scene. Each week, pub landlord Alan and our favourite regular Ian discuss races, runners and anything else that comes to mind. So pull up a pew, pour yourself a drink and join us for the Swift Half.
You're listening to the 19th most popular podcast, whose Spartan listeners know they could survive in the wild by gathering only the moss from rolling stones.
Hey, my friend, welcome to the Swift Half. How are you?
I'm great, Alan. We're just after Christmas Day, and we're in that awkward period where we've no idea what day of the week it is. We're full of cheese, and we're probably still a little bit drunk from the night before.
Without a doubt. And I'm actually eating Chia Charge at this moment in time because I've got no sweet stuff left in the house. It's all gone. 2 days later, it's all gone. So I'm eating Chia Charge.
You do have a bigger family than me. I think I've still got some toffee left. Do you remember toffee? It only comes out at Christmas.
We have got some somewhere. Paula's mum bought us some for Christmas. Paula's mum always does a chocolate hamper, and it has everything in, and even old stuff. So there was like orange Smarties in there. There was like a mint Galaxy. I've never seen a mint Galaxy. And there were other stuff like what's them slices? Them orange and lemon slices you get.
Oh, you mean the jellies?
Slices. Yeah, that's them. Yeah.
Yeah, the jellies. You don't really see them anymore, do you?
Nope. And there were toffees, and obviously the toffees went straight away because they're the best ever.
They are the best. The only problem is this year we couldn't find the white ones for Jen. Jen always likes the white toffee. I don't mind the chocolate one. She likes the white, and we couldn't find them anywhere. Obviously, they must have been sold out. And a few days ago, before the big day, on Christmas Eve, I foolishly decided to drive out to Morrison's for some last-minute shopping. And you know what? It was relatively empty of both customers and stock.
I get the stock because I was in Tesco's on the Monday before Christmas, and there were people going around and going, have you got any pigs in blankets? And they're going, no, we've sold out, completely sold out. Have you got any turkeys? No, we've sold out. And literally, and this was the Monday, 2 days before Christmas, and they'd sold out everything. Luckily, we didn't go in for anything like that. We just went in to get I don't even know what we went in to get in now. It was wrapping paper. We ran out of wrapping paper, so we had to go and get some wrapping paper.
That happens. What I was doing is there's a shop near us that we like, one of the game shops that we go in. I was just going for a tub of, any kind of chocolates for them, because it's nice. It's not a real Christmas present, but it's nice to bring them something. And most of the tubs are gone. I had to get them a Quality Street. And I have to ask, Alan, have you had Quality Streets this year?
We have got a bag of them somewhere. We bought a bag of them. They're only Tesco's £2.50 instead of £4 with a club card. There's a bargain for you. But we've got some somewhere, but I haven't had them yet.
Yeah, so they're still one of the few sweets you've not devoured yet. And honestly, Alan, I agree with you having Chia Charge before them because I can't explain it. Since they've moved to paper wrappers, they're not as nice. I don't know why, but there's just something about the Quality Street. Maybe it's like fish and chips have to be in newspaper to taste nice. Fish and chips on a plate, not great. Fish and chips in newspaper, fine. Quality Streets without the ability to take the foil off and then look through the ornamental paper that you can put in front of your eye, and if you've got the big purple one, this is what the world will look like when it's purple. It's not the same, Alan.
You can't put a piece of paper up to your eye. I get that. I didn't even know they'd gone from foil wrappers to paper. That's how behind the times I am. When did they do that?
It must have been maybe a year or two ago. But yeah, they're now. I don't know if it's because of the experience now or because the paper just leaves a bitter aftertaste. And I'm sure listeners will let us know on this. Maybe I'm talking nonsense, but they just don't taste the same anymore. It's ridiculous. And I know that a few days as this is coming out, King Charles, I'm still not used to that, King Charles stripped Cadbury's of their Royal Charter. That was a massive thing. He should lock up whoever made the change to Quality Streets. Never mind removing the charter. I know Nestle still have their charter for reasons I've no idea. Lock up whoever changed Quality Streets.
Can't believe it. Before you know it, Ian, they'll move away from tin tubs to plastic tubs, won't they? So, I mean, that's like,
Some of them are plastic already.
No, that's the last time I bought a tin of chocolate or tub of chocolates.
Yeah, they're no longer the old metal ones. And you know what? I actually found my old metal one the other day, because tins get used for everything, and it was so much bigger. And I remember when I had it, it was actually an Easter present back in the day, and I think it lasted me till summer. Nowadays, the small plastic tubs, you're lucky if it lasts a night.
If they do plastic tubs, how are we supposed to have time capsules now? Because that's what I thought. That's what the metal tins were for in the chocolates. You put stuff into and make time capsules.
I have no idea because it will just deteriorate, won't it? And the irony is, of course, they've moved away from presumably the old plastic wrappers, which were presumably not great for the environment, but they've stepped away from metal. Surely metal tins are better for the environment than plastic tubs.
Yeah, because plastic is just going to get put in the bin, isn't it? I don't. How many people would recycle a plastic tub? Not many, I don't think.
Depending where you are in the country, you may not be able to recycle it anyway. Because I know where we are, you can't actually recycle yogurt pots, but if you drive 5 miles down the road, you can. How strange is that?
Oh, that is really weird. That's really weird. What are you drinking tonight?
Well, tonight, as you can tell by how excited I'm getting, listener, I am not on real beer, but I am back on the Brewdog, blasting from the past. We have got Elvis AF.
Oh, I like a bit of Elvis, alcohol free. I did I try the Wingman on the show with the alcohol free not long since? Because that's quite good.
You did. It was a coin toss whether I went for Wingman or Elvis AF tonight.
Oh, Jamie has done his full Brewdog advent calendar, and he says there's some amazing ones in it. I didn't do it this year, but he said there were some amazing beers in the advent calendar this year.
I wish I'd done it. I did it once, the only problem was because I don't drink alcohol that often, because there's not enough days to do it, because I never drink the night before work because I've got to drive early the next day, and I'm always busy at weekend. My last Brewdog advent calendar lasted a year and a half.
Oh, that's like one. That's even so. 24-day advent calendar. That means you had one can every month, just over one can a month.
And honestly, I think by the end of it, I'm not sure if I drank them all. Some of them may have ended up at your barbecue or ended up as gifts.
Oh, I love that. Are you planning on re-gifting anything? I never re-gift. Are you planning on re-gifting anything?
Honestly, I've got a lot of practical stuff this year. I'm very happy to say a lot of what people have got me is practical. Like, big present off Gem this year was a Oldham rugby shirt for the coming season, because they opened up the doors and you could buy it on last Saturday, almost a week ago. So that's what she bought me. So it's nice and practical. Stuff I bought Gem was also practical. So probably not regifting. Something that often gets regifted is my work give us a Christmas hamper. I'm not sure what your work does for Christmas, but my work always gives us like 50 quid hamper. We're really, really appreciative. And a lot of times, like the bottle of wine, if it's white wine, will get regifted because we only drink red in this house. This year, maybe a sign of the times, they got us an alcohol-free one, which came with lime and soda, Alan.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Working for the government here, we get nothing. We actually get nothing. I mean, nothing. The only things that we get for is if our managers buy us something and we buy our managers, which actually, this were a bit, maybe I'm going to be a bit tight here, Ian. Yeah. But everyone on the team I'm on, so there's 8 people on our team, and we said we're going to get our manager something. So we all chipped in 5 quid. I've got no problem with that, chipping 5 quid. It's 40 quid for a present. He's bought us a chocolate orange.
Okay, help me out here. By a chocolate orange, you mean the £1 chocolate orange or a tin of the chocolate orange slices, which is amazing?
a £1 chocolate orange. So I feel a little bit done by.
Were they out of coal in Barnsley? Because that might have been a better gift. At least it would have been funny.
It would have been. I feel a little bit. He's bought us all one chocolate orange. I feel a little bit. I don't know, a bit deflated. You know, when you give your manager, and I don't know if anyone else out there has got a manager, and you give everything to, and they don't give back. But I think we give a lot to our jobs, and I actually felt a little bit sorry for a couple of the people on my team who were single parents and part-time and single parents. £5 to them is a good chunk of money, I'd have thought. And maybe I'm just being cynical, but I thought we might have got a little bit more. So maybe it's just me being cynical, but I'd have thought, from a manager, I know when I manage people, I don't do it anymore. But when I did manage people, I would happily go and spend £7, £8, £9 on them, because throughout the year they make your job easier.
Yeah, and the woman that I work with in the office, technically I'm her boss, but not really. I think we may have had this discussion on the show. I work with her. That's the way I see it, because her job role is slightly different to my job role, though I kind of supervise what she does. She in turn helps me out and overlooks my stuff. And I got her a couple of boxes of chocolate. She's got a family, so I thought it'd be nice get some nice chocolates for her, and also some chocolate she can share with her little lads.
Yeah, and that's what, to me, when I was a manager, that's what I used to do. I used to buy different things for everyone. Everyone got a personal present, anything up to £10, but it was very personalised. Because I feel that if you know your team, if you've got a team of people working for you, you should know your team. And if you know your team, you know what they want and what they like.
Yeah, I don't think you've been ungrateful. I know he could have got you nothing. He could have got you nothing, but that kind of just smack of going to Iceland on the way in to work and picking up whatever was available.
My thoughts exactly.
Should we talk about what you're drinking?
Oh, yes, I am on Peroni, alcohol-free Peroni tonight with lemonade in. So managed to go to the shop, got it was Tesco's, it was everyone was Tesco's the day. They had some alcohol-free Peroni. I think it was £15 for 18 bottles, which I thought wasn't quite bad, that. So I got 15 bottles, and I put some lemonade in it just to make it a longer drink. Because bottles tend to be too quick for me. So if I've got a bottle, I can drink a bottle really, really quickly. So I thought I'd put a bit of lemonade in, makes it a longer drink for me.
I know, obviously, the big day's come and gone now, but there was something last week on the show we forgot to talk about that I'd love to talk about today, if that's okay, Alan.
Fire away, Ian.
I want to talk about your Christmas carol service on the train, because we mentioned, I think, on the show that you're going on this. We didn't then chat about it on the show because last week was a very special edition where we had lots of people in. But explain the setup and how the actual day went.
So this was done at Keighley Railway Station. So anyone who's up north, they really should have a go at this. It's so much fun. It starts at Keighley Railway Station. It's an old diesel locomotive, about 6-7 carriages. It starts on the station though, before you even get on the train, and there's a brass band playing, and you sing carols and they tell you the nativity play, and then you go to another station. You all get off. You sing carols, more nativity, and then about 5 stations before it finishes with pie and peas. My first year of doing it and I loved it. You know what I mean? Singing carols with a brass band playing. It was great how the brass band got off every time and then got back on the train and you went to the next station. It was really, really good. Didn't know what to expect. So, when you book these things, and you usually find a thing that says no drink or food allowed unless you purchase it from whatever. Oh, no. This train is brilliant because everyone takes picnics. We were the only ones without a picnic. So there's people there with bottles of gin, bottles of Jack Daniels, cans of beer, gin and tonics, food. The one table, they've got I want to say, a Boxing Day platter where you have your Boxing Day and you put everything else out that you've left over from. So it was like that on the whole table with 4 of them just munching away. Oh, Ian, it was absolutely brilliant. Anyone who lives up north next year needs to do it. I think it cost us about £20 each, £25 each. It's not cheap in terms of, because you're just getting on and off a train, but the experience is to die for, and definitely going back next year. I want to take the mothers, Paula's mum and my mum, I think next year, and make a bit of an evening over it. Maybe spend the day up in Keighley or Horse. Is it Haworth? Haworth, however you pronounce it. That's what I think it starts with. So it's Haworth and Keighley Railway. Ian, it was absolutely brilliant.
I would definitely look it up for next year because I had a little bit of a disappointing Christmas experience just before Christmas. So again, listeners, sorry for dating the show slightly because the big day's gone, and as we all know, after Christmas, no one cares. But we are gonna go back in time on the Monday, so 23rd. Me, Jen, Ian Rawlingson, and Kate Rawlingson. You remember Ian?
Yeah,
He used to be really big in OCR, attending quite a few of your events. We've kind of made it a not a deliberate thing, but now once a month we try and meet up because we were really close friends. Then he stopped doing OCR. I stopped doing as much running, so we barely saw each other. And now we're trying to do it once a month. Well, this month we went to Freight Island in Manchester, which is this food hall place, and they were doing Christmas by candlelight. Doesn't that just sound magical?
that sounds amazing. That sounds like something I want to do.
Christmas by candlelight, 25 quid a head. That didn't include drinks or anything. That was just your ticket. And yeah, Freight Island, for those you don't know, it's a food hall which used to be a old industrial unit. They have lots of different food places which you can eat. And yeah, Alan, it wasn't quite either as advertised or as expected. The first thing was the fact that it was unreserved seating. And with these food hall places, they tend to be benches, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
And I've got to say that when possibly two-thirds or three-quarters of the people who bought tickets were in there, it was already looking full because what would happen is you'd have a bench that could seat 6 to 8 people around a table, and you'd have like 4 people just spread out.
Yeah.
So you then had, because there was no one policing this, we had that awkward moment of having to go up to people and say, "Oh, if you move your bikes, can we squeeze on here?"
Oh,
Which is not a nice way to start it. Then, because it was benches, half of you couldn't actually see the stage, and the singers they were okay. They were not 25 quid okay. I've gone to some great concerts for that. I would say low quality cruise ships style.
oh, that's not good, that mate, is it? That's not what we want.
It isn't, but it's always the people you're with that make a night. So Ian and Kate and Jen, we enjoyed it. We made the best of it, but it wasn't. We were expecting, the lights to be dimmed and it to be dark with candles and that. Yeah, all it was basically, you had some singers on stage. They put some sheets up to shield you from the rest of the punters who could listen to music, by the way, because these weren't soundproofed sheets at all. And yeah, that was pretty much it. And yeah, definitely not worth it. Maybe worth a tenner, but it sounds like I should go to Christmas carols at Keighley next year.
Definitely, we'll book it all together, and we'll get, because you actually reserve your seats. So this is the place where you actually reserve your seats. They come in packs of 4. We had 2. We didn't have no one sat next to us, which was great. But we could get like 2 across from each other, and if we all worked together, we'd get some great seats and make a really good evening of it. I think the only downside for me was when we got back to the very last station before they took you back to Howard to get off. The food hall you was in, they got up singing. The brass band played and everything else, but it seemed to be over really quickly back there. When you got your food, it was over really quickly. But I wanted it to go on a little bit longer. But hey, it was brilliant. Ian, it was absolutely amazing. Got some great pictures. I don't know what it's about riding a train, but you can't beat riding a train, can you?
Can't. It's just a shame. A lot of the time they get cancelled now.
It is. While we're talking about trains, can we talk about the UK OCR? Or no, let's talk about the OCR Awards, because they're not the UK OCR Awards, they are the OCR Awards. It's just that UK OCR currently put them on. And talk about the list that's come out, the final list of voting that's out, because there's some amazing things on there. And I want to talk through a few of them, if that's good with you.
Of course, we've got to be careful. We don't want to influence anyone's votes here, but I think from a factual point of view, absolutely, Alan.
Cool. Let's go through each one. So, Obstacle of the Year, sponsored by AJB Landscapes. Big thanks to this landscaping business based down in Brentwood for sponsoring this one. I like the mixture. I'm not going to go through everyone that's on there, but I like the mixture of obstacles that are on there, Ian, because we've got some of the old ones, some of the faithful ones that, have been there and won it in the past. And then we've got new ones on there, and it's great to see a really, really good mixture.
It is really good to see that mixture because the last couple of years, there's always been great obstacles. We do obstacles well in the UK, but a lot of them have been old classics like the ones that everyone's heard of. Whereas this year, it looks like the nomination committee and the people who nominate, who have a big hand in this, really look to definitely look under the carpet, shall we say? Or I'm trying to find the correct way of saying this, but they went further than the I've heard of Block Ness, I'm putting that down.
Without a doubt. I mean, I was shocked. I was shocked that Block Nest wasn't even on the list. And when it comes to nominations and things like that, and to make that shortlist, it didn't get enough votes, didn't get enough nominations to get in there. So it was a bit shocking that, but actually, a great list on there. What is there? There's about 9 or 10 on there to choose from. Currently, I can see the results so far who's voted in. So, giving an insight, we've currently got nearly 300 people voted, and between the top two, there's only 7 votes.
Wow. We've said this before, but every vote counts. I know it's not a direct popularity contest because we do weight it with also having a nomination committee who gets some votes, but ultimately, the public vote is the deciding factor in the event of a tie. And I'm fairly sure we had this last year where there was like a three-way tie, which got broke by whoever was voted most by the public. So make sure you get out there and you vote.
Without a doubt, Ian. Without a doubt. Second up, we have got Best Event of the Year, sponsored by OCR Buddy. Only 7 events on this list. So, and there's a bit of a mixture. We've got some of the really big ones that are going out there, your Tough Muddy, your Nuclear, your Spartan. And then we've got some of the smaller ones, Body Hub, Tartan Warrior, Junior 5K British Champs, and 3K British Champs at Nuts. So there's a good mixture of them on there. It's one of the big things we've done, and I've had a question about this, Ian. Why aren't we doing big event and little event this year? We're just going to do one straight up event, because in the past, we've had some event companies saying, well, I'm a big event, but you've put me in a little event. And big events saying you should be in a little event. So we're going one event this year, straight up, best event of the year. You tell us who it is. The list is good. Good that when you talk about Tough Mudder, though, Ian, Tough Mudder London South got lots of nominations, but not many other Tough Mudders did.
Yeah, it was interesting. I like the split this year. I think that's the first time we've had a split where when it came to an event like Tough Mudder, we went for the actual event based on the venue as opposed to just vote for Tough Mudder. And I think that's fair because something like a Body Hub, it only puts on one event in one venue. And honestly, Alan, would you say something like Tough Mudder Southwest deserves to be in there? Probably not. We talked about how that feels like a less than event. And just allowing it to be one part of the Tough Mudder as a whole, I don't think that's a very fair way to do it. Whereas I do think London South is an iconic venue. It's one of the favourite venues of one of the people who helps put together the UK OCR podcasts. And I did like that change. And getting back to your change when it came to the large and small, I'm very much in favour of that because it also eliminates the, shall we say, events who want to be in the category they're most likely to win.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I kind of like having just a single event. And plus, that also means we can focus a little bit more on athletes as well.
Too right. Next up, we all have a bit of bling. Best bling of the year, best medal of the year, what you want to do. Sponsored by DMS Originals, so a big thank you and Traslow for sponsoring this. They make medal hangers, so quite fitting that DMS Original sponsor this one. Again, we've got some great events in there. Interesting that Spartan got both the Trifecta medal nominated and the Spartan Ultra Buckle nominated. So two completely different types of medal. Absolutely great. And something else a bit different, Tartan Warrior Rosettes. So we're not talking just about straight up medal. We're talking about it could be anything that's associated with the race. And Mud Monsters has come back with a nomination back in there. So Mud Monsters, which have been out of OCR for a few years, they're back in.
Again, I've got to be careful when discussing this, Alan, as to not influence anyone's vote. But I do love the fact that we've opened it up to as much potential hardware as we could. Like you say, the fact that Spartan, there are two medals available, will that split the vote? Who knows? But I do think it was a good choice. And if in the future people want to vote for example, Nuclear Race's regular medal and the series medal that they occasionally do, I'd be all for that too.
Well, I love the Nuclear Oblivion medal. He didn't get the vote, just a nuclear medal. But I mean, you've got Body Up on there, Born Survivor on there, Nuts 3K British Champs, and Rude Rampage, as well as ones I've already mentioned. So good voting there, and it's close. There's in the voting terms, Ian, I'm going to say there's three slightly pulling away, but there's not many votes between all three.
And as we found out, a three-way tie can be quite dangerous.
It can be quite dangerous. Best training facility of the year. Now, this has been sponsored by Enduro Nutrition. So they came in as sponsors. Thank you very much to them for sponsoring us. So many on here: Body Up, Field Fit, Fit Body Farm, Fit IQ, Nuclear Wild Forest, Obstacle Play Park, PT Barn, Rumble Fitness, Obstacle Gym, and True Function Ninja Training Grounds. So many to choose from. I think this is going to come down to where you're training. So the people where the train, who trains at the most, when it comes to the public vote, I think, because not many people go to different ones around the country. Would you say that were fair?
I would say that is fair. And you've got people who may not go to any of them, at least on the regular. So for those people, I would ask you to read around the facilities, do a little bit of research. I know that's almost an internet meme of do your own research, but don't throw a vote in there randomly, because as we've seen, a lot of these facilities probably will get around about the same number of votes from the people who attend them. So the swing votes will be those who perhaps don't have any allegiance. So make sure you make your vote count when it comes to training facility.
Definitely. Next up, best alternative event of the year. Sponsored by Obstacle Gym, so outdoor training centre based in Tamworth. People know this from a long time ago when it was owned by Reaper, and then it's moved on now. Absolutely great training gym in my eyes. I've been there once. Absolutely brilliant stuff going off, and they're putting races on and stuff like that going off. However, they're sponsoring the event, nothing to do with them. So we have got quite a few people in here. Great news that Farmyard Jam got nominated in it. So Farmyard Jam, thank you for whoever nominated us. Much appreciated that. Athex, Hyrox, Maverick Race, Nuclear Fit, OCR Games, and Spartan Decker. Ian, this is even closer. There is 2 votes between the top 4.
This one fascinates me more than any other because of the way it has played out. This is potentially due to the removal of the small and large event. What's happened is a few events, which were probably in that small category, have been moved over, and rightly so. So something like Farmyard Jam has been moved over because it's not technically an OCR, like you have OCR within it, but it's an ultra event.
Yeah.
And that goes for a few of the other events. And what's fascinating to me is for the past 3 years, this has kind of been like the Hyrox one. I don't have any issue with telling you, listener, that the past 3 years, Hyrox has walked this. They absolutely have walked it. But on the other hand, they never really had any competition. And this feels like the first time they've had some competition, because as well as other fitness races, you mentioned Athex and you mentioned Spartan Decker in there, as well as those, you do have these other running races like the Farmyard Jam, like the OCR Games and that. So I can't wait for this one. And honestly, I can't call it.
No, I think this is going to be one of the closest ones going. And I think the panel, when they make their vote, that's going to be close as well. You know, absolutely amazing. Going to be really close, that one. One of the closest ones, I think. Because we've always talked about it being a walkover, and I don't think it's going to be this year. So, next up, Best Community of the Year. Got a few people in there: British Obstacle Sports Juniors, British Obstacle Sports himself, Mud Queens, Mud Crow, Mud Monarchy, Solo Mudders, which I know you'll probably vote for, Ian, being a staunch solo mudder. OCR Wrong'un, Scottish OCR, and Talking Dirty OCR. This is open to anyone. This, you know, I mean, we've found this over the last few years. If one particular group gets their members to vote, it can be swayed in any way, shape, or form in the voting terms. You know, then we also have the panel results as well, which sometimes swing it. But I think last year it was decided not purely on the public vote, but I think the public vote swung it.
I would agree. This is one where the panel tends to be split. So the panel will often be quite split on that, and you end up with a situation where there's quite a few people there or thereabouts, and what then happens is the public vote swings it. I will be very careful when discussing this one because I don't want to give any kind of preference. And quite frankly, I think it would be nice for any of those groups to win it. It was nice, for example, to see Talking Dirty, because that's a newer group. It was quite nice to see a newer group being voted for. And I'll be honest, I wasn't aware that Talking Dirty had a community, so it was really nice. And obviously we do, built around the podcast. It was nice to see that this award is no longer about who has the biggest Facebook group.
Too right. And that's what it should be about. It should never be all about votes, and we said all along. Next up, Volunteer of the Year. Sponsored by Team Crabats, which is a new sponsor to us. Big thank you to Team Crabats joining in and sponsoring us. Quite a few volunteers on there, amazing people that have been nominated. Andrew Ryan, Dawn Jollies, Jane Simia, Joe Dulson Cox, Martine Henderson, Meg Tranter, Sarah Solomon, Tim Crangle, Wayne Grumpy King, and Wendy Brothers. If anyone asking how I'm putting these in order, by the way, these are all in alphabetical order. All our voting is always in alphabetical order, so as we're not differentiating between votes and things like that. Again, Ian, this is the one. So out of all the votes, because you don't have to vote on everything, you know what I mean? You can choose whichever one you want to vote. This is the one that's getting the most responses.
It doesn't surprise me because people do like the opportunity to thank the volunteers, but a lot of the times they don't feel they have the correct forum to do it because some of the names you mentioned, they truly, really don't want the recognition. I know that there's the old joke that some people pretend that they don't, you know, like your mum during an awards thing, or you know, where you know, or at a family get together where she'll pretend she doesn't care about recognition and all that, and she really does. She absolutely does, you know. And you know, it's like your dad at a wedding when everyone's getting up and dancing, and he does the whole, oh no, not for me, not for me, and then he goes out there and buffs some moves. When it comes to the volunteers, a lot of them names, they do like putting the spotlight on other people, and it's nice to give the opportunity to the voting public to recognise, and B, to give them some spotlight.
Without a doubt, a lot of these people, there's so much work behind the scenes. You don't even see them on courses volunteering as much. So a lot of it's behind the scenes. So it's great to recognise them. I'm fully in agreement with you. Moment of the year. I'm a bit biased on this one personally, Ian. There was only 5 that was on there. So it's the 100-metre British Champs at FitFest. I was there. Great thing. The final lap at Farmyard Jam, I'm biased to that because for me that was absolutely phenomenal. And I'm biased to it, although it wasn't my event. It wasn't me who did it. It was James Burton, and it was Dassos and Russell and Kevin that made that a final lap phenomenal. So nothing to me. Them guys deserve it all. The adult and junior podium presentations at the British Champs. The multiple head-to-head sprint finishes at Spartan Southwest. if you remember that they were back to back, so close. And the final one is the Women's Empowerment Wave at Spartan Southwest. Didn't see that myself, but I mean, I've heard it was good things. Again, this is close. There's only 5 on there, and it's close who's going to win this on a public vote.
I had a question about this, Alan.
Yeah.
Usually when we do moment of the year, it's fairly obvious who will get the trophy. In this case, what are we going to do? Are we going to cut down this little wooden plaque into, well, splinters for some of these? Because, like, for the women empowerment, there were so many of them. Do they all get a little bit of the trophy?
If they come up, and I can't remember what won it last year, but I think it was something to do with the British obstacle sports. But they all came up and collected it. Whoever decides to take it home with them, and I think this happens quite a lot with the medals and the trophies we give away, is like whoever decides to take it home with them takes it home and puts it on their mantelpiece. Whoever organised it, we will find out if that wins. We'll find out who organised it. If it's the adult and junior podium presentation of British champs, someone from British obstacle sports. If it's the multiple head-to-head sprint finish at Spartan Southwest, I have no idea who's going to take that one.
I reckon the streamers should take that one.
It's a good one, that. Young OCR Personality of the Year. I'm not going to go through this list, Ian, because it is so long. There were so many people nominated, and everyone who was nominated made the list. When it comes to junior athletes, we are not going to take anyone out of the nomination list. And this is the only one that our panel, our independent panel, do not make a shortlist of. So everyone who's nominated is on there. There's a whole plethitude of people, and it's sponsored by Fit IQ, which is Louise Ferryman's business. So Louise reached out to us, asked if she could sponsor it. We completely agreed. Fit IQ, head over, check them out. It's going to be close, when I'm looking at the results here, Ian, everyone's got vote. Everyone has got at least 4 or 5 votes. Simply
remarkable. And it feels like every year that list gets longer, and every year I'm really happy it does.
Without a doubt. For the adults, OCR Personality of the Year, we have got 7 people: Becky Neal, Dassus Ganella, Nathan Hawkins, Ramonas Wickers, Tommy Matthews, Wayne King, Wendy Brothers. All of them deserve it for what they've done, and there's a reason why. So this is probably the only one we actually put a little bit of context behind sometimes. There's a reason why. Again, this is so close. The voting on this is super close.
I'm trying not to influence the vote, but I'm going to have to say something for the purpose of a gag.
Go on.
If one of them wins, what kind of atmosphere is going to be in the Neil Ganellis household?
So if Becky Dassus wins and the other one, that could be the trip up to Tartan Warrior, because Tartan Warrior actually sponsored this award. The trip up to Tartan Warrior a couple of weeks later could be very techy, to say the least.
And that's not to influence any voting. It was something that struck me as I was looking down the list. It's very rare for that to happen.
If Dassos wins, do you think Becky will not let him use the UK OCR jet?
Potentially, he might be walking to Tartan Warrior.
He might be walking to Tartan Warrior. Next up, we have got the outstanding contribution to OCR in 2024, sponsored by Nuclear Racers. Couple of people on this, quite a few actually, so we'll go through them all. British Obstacle Sports, Claire Rosser, Dave Peters, Dawn Jollies, Jack Carpenter, James Burton, Jamie Gain, Joe Dulson Cox, Louise Ferryman, Spartan Phil, Stuart Jeffrey, Tim Crangle, and Wendy Brothers. Big choice on that. Again, this is getting a lot of responses. There's no clear winner. There's maybe 5 that are pulling away a little bit, but again, no clear winner here, Ian.
That does surprise me, because I'm not going to say what I thought, but when I looked through that list, one stood out to me, but I guess, unfortunately, definitely unfortunately, given in the context of what we do on the podcast, sometimes I just don't know what the temperature of a room is.
No, we don't. Next up, Adaptive Para-Athlete of the Year. We only had 5 people in this, but you would only expect 5 people in this at this moment in time, because adaptive athletes are still growing, still coming forward. So we had 5 nominations. All 5 went in. B. Wood, Chris Harris, Dylan Darby, Harry Hendricks, Jamie Gain. Good luck to all of them who are going to enter. There's only 5 people in there. I can't count who's going to. I couldn't determine who's going to win. We've seen this, in the past. You think one's going to win and someone else does, but 5 amazing athletes all nominated.
What I liked about that is it wasn't too long ago that Jamie Gain was on a podcast saying that when it came to adaptive athletes in the UK, there was him and he could probably ring up the other 2 to check whether they were going to compete in the race. And the fact that, yes, it's 5, but that probably means there are other athletes out there outside of those 5 people who are now doing OCR as well. So the adaptive aspect of OCR just keeps growing.
Too right, Ian. Too right. Media podcast of the year. We have got a few in there. Accountability Corner, Fitness Racing Podcast, which is yours. So a bit. You need to dump some votes, I'm telling you that now. Mud and Glory, Never Stumped, Obstacle Dominator Podcast, Pint Size OCR, Talking Dirty OCR, Turner Media, and Who's Hot. So some great things on there. I know what people are thinking, Ian. Why isn't Swift Half in there? Do you want to tell him?
Yeah, what it is Alan is really bad at putting the form together. We did get nominated a few times, but this happens every year. Unfortunately, there's always one deliberate mistake when it comes to a form. And in this case, the Swift Half just fell out. And, oh, well, Alan, it happened. But in some ways, it will spare our blushes because honestly, all of those other podcasts are so much better. So
exactly. Exactly. I wasn't happy us coming last.
It spares our blushes from some point of view. It does put me in a tricky situation because I have no idea whether to galvanize the fitness racing podcasts listenership who some listen to both, but there are quite a few who don't. So I don't know. I've not decided yet whether to actually canvass for votes on that, Alan. I may or may not. Speaking of which, when is the last day for voting?
The last day for voting is actually New Year's Eve. So it's Tuesday midnight, New Year's Eve. Although, to be honest, I'm not probably going to switch off at midnight. You might be able to get up on New Year's Day morning and still find it still open, but I will close it off as soon as I wake up on New Year's Day morning.
Yeah, you say that, Alan, but if you remember last year, people did vote after, and I did remove the votes because you can see the timestamp. So Make sure you vote before you have your second Baileys on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, everyone needs to be in before midnight. We're going to stick to midnight. We will take them all out. So if you do vote after midnight, you will be removed. Your votes will be removed. Next up, Best Fitness Racing OCR Crossover Athlete in 2024. Andrea Berquez, David Kelly, Gavin Hogarth, Jay Skillen, Laura Haywood, Ross Jordan. Could be anyone's this. I don't know who's going to win. I really don't. You're talking of 6 quality athletes that have done High Rocks or OCR, jointly in the last year or so. I couldn't call this one all in.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to try on this one because it is wide open. I suspect the voting reflects that as well, Alan.
It does. It is really, really close. I'm going to say out of the 6, though, there are 5 that are pulling away. So, I'm going to say that. I can't say any more than that. There's 5 pulling away from 1. Maybe they've not galvanized all the troops yet. At the end of the day, you talked about the fitness racing. All it takes is for one group to all of a sudden get together and start pushing the votes, and it changes so quickly.
It really, really does. So if you are nominated, speak to your friends, get them to vote. And if you're not nominated, ask your friends to vote.
Without a doubt. Ian. What else have we got on the podcast? Because that's all. Next thing I'm going to do is the OCR Awards. We are looking to give people context of what's going to happen. We are looking for the 1st of March on South London. We've got a few venues in place, so please keep an eye out for it. We will come straight back to you on when we find somewhere.
Right, okay, let's see. Oh, well, we were talking about winners. Let's talk about someone winning on a raffle.
Oh, that were me, Ian. That were me at Jack Carpenter's final farewell. I won a raffle prize, Ian. I won one of the raffle prizes.
You did, and I wasn't surprised because, you did support Jack's. I was surprised, and it was random, at how good a prize you got. I know there was lots of good prizes, But honestly, Alan, man your luck, usually you'd be getting the gift voucher, which is still a good prize, but you got an unbelievable prize.
I have, Ian. I've got a 2 night stay at the Love Letter Cottage in Hesset. So that's near Bury St Edmunds, I want to say it is. I've had a look at it on the map. I think it was Bury St Edmunds. 2 nights, midweek stay in a cottage. It looks absolutely amazing. It's one of these premier cottages, Ian. You know, log burner fire. Was them slipper baths? You know, them big enamel slipper baths. 2 nights. For me, Paula, and Betty, yeah, we're going to go down and spend 2 nights down there and visit some sites.
I believe it was for 4 people, correct? I know you said you taking Betty.
Two people, 2 people, 2 people.
Right, because I was wondering, if Paula was busy, you, Rob, Jamie, and Harley, you could go and have a boys' weekend.
Paul has seen this. There is no way she not going. She's seen it. She's fallen in love with it. She's like, we are going here. I think if we had the money, she would be looking to purchase the cottage. It's that nice a place. So, no, sorry, Ian, but we are having to go to it.
If it's a midweek, does that mean that particular week we're going to have to get a substitution landlord?
Wherever I am, Ian, we can jump on and we will do it. If not, yes, you are quite right. We might need to get another substitution landlord in again.
Speaking of raffles, though, actually, Alan, before we go on to the next news, I read something this week which I need to share when it comes to raffles. Okay?
Go on, fire away.
What is the difference between a raffle and a tombola?
Oh, that's a good one. A raffle is you have a number in your hand, or you can buy several numbers in your hand, and a number's then pulled out of a thing, and if your number gets pulled out, you win. However, a tombola to me is all the prizes have got a number attached to them, and you put your hand into a bucket or whatever and pull out a number. And if your number matches, then you win that prize. But if it doesn't match, you don't win it.
Absolutely that. It is a case of, a raffle, the winning number hasn't been predetermined, whereas with tombola, the winning numbers already have, and the randomness comes in what you're pulling as opposed to just taking strips. But I just thought that was fascinating. It might have only been fascinating to me, but I never sat around to think of that.
No, it's quite interesting, that, isn't it?
I
never thought about it. It's just a raffle to me. It's just always been a raffle type of thing to me. So yeah, it is quite interesting. I quite like it.
But speaking of raffles, before Christmas, it was meant to be the raffle for the Ultimate Season Pass. I believe that's now been pushed back.
It has. You're quite right. It's been pushed back to the 30th of December. So Monday, if you listen to this on Friday, it's the coming Monday. If on Saturday, coming Monday. If you listen to this on the Tuesday, on New Year's Eve, you've missed it.
Exactly. We haven't yet confirmed, mainly because I didn't do my research, whether or not you can still enter at this late time period, because, Alan, as you know, me being super organized means, I didn't update my British Obstacle membership to get some entries. So I'm going to try and do it anyway, and maybe they'll give me a couple of entries. We'll see.
Oh, yeah, do it, Ian. Do it. Oh, get some. You never know. You could be as lucky as me.
Maybe I could. Right, let's talk about Tough Mudder Manchester, because it is relatively light on news this week, and I will say, maybe cynical of me, it almost feels like this is a good week to bury bad news, and that may be what Tough Mudder have done here, in that Tough Mudder Manchester is not going ahead in 2025. It will be back in 2026.
It was a bit of a shock to me when I saw this, Ian, because we do it we've done it a few times. It's always well attended. And then I was really thinking about it, and I was thinking, well, is it a shock? Because the 2 times I've been, it's been an absolute quagmire. You know what I mean? The damage it does to that park is phenomenal. So it doesn't really surprise me.
I think, though, Alan, this has nothing to do with us turning the Tough Mudder Heaton Park into a mud pile. I think this is everything to do with Neil and Liam Gallagher being the around that time period. And it may be a little bit to do with not wanting to churn it up because the main where the main stage is for Liam and Noel, I'm fairly sure that's also where the entrance and the exit for Tough Mudder are. And you've seen how much that gets churned up. It's got terrible drainage. So my view is they didn't want to take any chances. Oasis wins, sadly.
You could be absolutely right there. Yeah, Oasis wins. They don't ever win at anything else though, do they? I mean, Man City fans, aren't they? They're not winning at that.
What is funny is that since they said they're going to turn the clock back and go back to the 1990s, City have followed suit.
Oh, Ian. Let's hope there's no Man City fans listening because we'll be banned from that for that now.
It's okay, Alan. If there are, they're already Chelsea fans now.
Oh right, they've already moved. The same fans that Man United went to like several years ago.
Oh God, yeah. I'm sorry, listener. I'm sure there is at least 2 genuine City fans, maybe 3.
And that's Noel and Liam, 2 of them.
Yeah. Oh God. But yeah, it's understandable. If you did already book for Tough Mudder, please check your emails. They'll tell you your options when it comes to the race because you can't do it. So they'll tell you your options. Fair play to Tough Mudder to communicate early, shall we say, because, well, it is still at least 6 or 7 months. I don't think they ever actually confirmed a time. They just started taking money because of the Oasis concert, and obviously they can't get it done, so they're doing what they can. It's a little bit disappointing that, Alan, unless you correct me, there's no Tough Mudder Northwest on the calendar yet either for next year.
No, and I think that there will be. I'm convinced there will be, but you're right. There isn't one, or I haven't seen one at this moment in time. I haven't seen an announcement for one, but I do think there will be one. I would be shocked if there wasn't.
So fingers crossed that will get sorted. But saying that, we do have Midlands, we do have Yorkshire, because I always joke that Yorkshire is one gust of wind away from being North Lancashire.
Yeah, I'm sure it goes down both sides here, and I'm convinced that half of it's in Yorkshire and half of it's in Lancashire. I'm convinced of it.
Most people do have to drive through Lancashire to get to that venue because of where it is. Good old Skipton, but yeah. So you're not too hard done by, but it would be nice if Northwest comes on the calendar again. Speaking of calendars, Deadly Dozen, a fitness race, recently added to its calendar by hosting its first ever Deadly Erg race, Alan.
So this obviously must be, we've got the ergs, which is like the rowing erg, the cycling erg, and what's the other one, that pull down ski erg? So they had all 3 of them?
Ski erg. Yeah, the 3 ergs were used. The way it worked was you started with a 1.6k row erg. You then did the first 6 workout stations because there's 12 stations. Then you did a 1.6 kilometer ski erg, and then you did the final 6 stations, and you finished with a 1.6k bike erg. I love this. It was held in a gym. I suspect that they'll never really do it outside of a gym event, but I really love this from a point of view of people who may not be able to run or just don't want to run, because some people don't fancy it, but they will do ergs. And Deadly Dozen has the ability to do this because they don't have ergs in their stations.
And I like that. I do actually like that. And it leads a little bit onto one of my next ones. I might come back to this, but Nuclear Fit, I've been teasing that they're going to do a Nuclear Fit without the running.
Yeah, well, they kind of did this last year where they did the Storm, which was just how many times can you do the stations within a period. But if they're doing one which is just the race without running, and you just do 6 stations and you're done, that's very exciting.
And I think so too. I think these events who are on the fringes of High Rocks, so we'll say that High Rocks made them massive. I guess like Tough Mudder made OCR massive, and anyone disagrees with that, they can do. I think Tough Mudder brought it to the masses. High Rocks has brought fitness racing to the masses, and all these events that are just on that peripheral are going to benefit if they can do something different. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're fetching everything to people.
I could not agree more with that statement. I was actually chatting to Jason from Deadly Dozen. I don't mind mentioning this. Hope he doesn't mind. But I was chatting to him because we have seen some other companies advertise that they're now doing a hybrid fitness event, and a lot of them, without naming any names, this is a High Rocks with maybe one extra station, and we have just shuffled around the order. And the thing is, I don't really think that's the way to look at it, because High Rocks do theirs in that particular order because of the weight floors. That's the way
Yeah.
it floors. Like the first stage of the race is incredibly cardio heavy, and then you hit a heavy sled, and that's deliberate. And you do 2 sets of heavy sled work, and then you're doing a horrible cardio in the burpees, which Alan absolutely loves. And then after that, you're doing a raw erg, which is kind of like challenging you to go fast when you really need to go slow and recover your breath. You then have a relatively easy station in the farmer's carry, which again is teasing you to go fast. And then you've got 2 stations at the end, which are complex movement with the lunges and the wall balls, which are just death. And High Rocks have perfected the order. Just messing with the order and maybe throwing something in there won't make your race as successful as High Rocks.
Doesn't make it unique, does it? Doesn't make it unique.
No, but let's have a look at Nuclear Fit. Let's have a look at Deadly Dozen. And to some degree, let's also have a look at Deco as well, because they've done this. They have all put in unique concepts. When it comes to Deco, they were the first who did this. Not every race has to be a running race, in that they had the Deca Strong, they had the Deca Mile, and these were things that could go in the gyms. That was their uniqueness. They also did not copy the High Rocks stations. Yeah, there's some things which are similar, but they had more rep-based stations than High Rocks ever do. High Rocks is all about moving through space when it comes to their movements. Deca did a lot of, you're doing 20 reps of this, you're doing 25 reps of this, which makes them unique. Let's then look at Nuclear Fit. Nuclear Fit was the first to go outdoors and to do farmyard-based exercises, which is really, really fun and a testament to hard work Sam and James do, and all the team do there. They thought about how to make their offering unique.
Yep.
Then Deadly Dozen, their uniqueness is the stations you can do using weights that you have in the gym. There's no ergs, using dumbbells, using kettlebells, using weight plates. And they use that to construct a very tough race, which taxes the shoulder and also the other parts of the body. Plus, they did it on a running track, which was unique. I can't believe it was unique, because it seems obvious when you think about it, but it was something that they brought, which was unique. If you just bring out a race and go, oh, High Rocks has got this, it's almost like the early days of OCR, isn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. OCR was easier to make different. If we'd have all done exactly the same as Tough Mudder or exactly the same as Mr. Mouse, OCR would be so boring. But back then they changed it up so much. You got the distance. Every race was a different distance, and every race offered a different obstacle, and it still does. And that's probably one of the things that I like about OCR, still today. I can go from one race and then I can go to another race somewhere else. And it's completely different. And that's where fitness racing for me, as an everyday athlete, I love fitness racing. I can go to a High Rocks and then I can probably go to a Deadly Dozen and I can go to a Nuclear Fit, and they're all different, but they're all going to give me a challenge.
And it, like you say, we mention this on podcasts a lot: better than, less than, different to. If you're different to, you do not have to worry about being better than, because if you try to be better than High Rocks, a lot of the time you're going to be less than. Unless you are run by Nike or another company and you can spend millions and millions and millions of pounds perfecting this, you're going to be less than. And that's what we saw in the early days of OCR when people thought, oh, well, the thing that works for Tough Mudder is teamwork based obstacles and I don't know, having fire or having electric and having Arctic Enema. That's what works for Tough Mudder. When no, it wasn't. It was having big obstacles. And when you're then charging 70 quid for someone to roll under some cargo nets, which aren't even pinned down, so they all bunch up, or trying to climb over your 4 foot wall because you don't have the budget to build a massive 10 foot wall like Tough Mudder, that's why you never got repeat business and you went out of business.
Yeah.
And the same will happen with fitness racing. If all you're offering is high rocks with the stations mixed up, people are not going to do it more than once.
No, be different, Ian. Be different.
What else have we got on the notes, Alan?
The last thing you've put on Sportograph, change the photos. Oh no, do it. Let's wait till that next week. Let's doing it all because I'm interested in what doing it all is.
Actually, doing it all, let's touch on this next week, but I'll explain it, Alan. And I actually want some feedback from the listeners on this. Whether we get it or not, we'll see. But I was booking races or mentally thinking of what I'm doing for the next year, for 2025. So I think it'll be a great thing to discuss next week. And I came to a realization that I could end up spending half my time at races in 2025. And I'm not convinced whether or not that's healthy and whether I should take a step back and cut back on where I'm attending and do other pursuits as well, like making sure I go to Oldham Rugby, making sure I do some DIY around the house before it falls around my ears. The house is fine, by the way, listeners, don't worry. But I was just wondering whether I was doing too much when it came to attending events. And I love attending events, but whether I should reevaluate what I'm doing in 2025. And Alan, I know you get caught by this trap as well, don't you?
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. I think it's a very interesting topic, Ian, and something I'd be interested to find anyone else messages. Let us know what your plans are, because I'm not going to say what mine are. Mine have changed. My priorities have changed over the years, and that 2025, I have got plans. I have really set my plans in stone at this moment in time. But I'd be interested what other people do before I tell people mine.
So should we cover this next week? Because, I mentioned my current dilemma, shall we say. I don't have an answer. I don't know whether I'm going to step back and do some DIY. Probably not, because DIY is boring. But let's put a pin in this topic. Let's discuss it next week. Let's chat about Sportograph now, because a few weeks ago, you remember, we were saying how the High Rock Sportograph pictures weren't looking as nice.
We were. They were saying the filter was different. They weren't as good quality. Yeah. What have you got an insight?
Not an insight, but Sportograph have absolutely owned this and reached out to people and said, look, there's been an issue with our post-production process. We've gone back and we have edited the images. Make sure you go back online and re-download your images.
Oh, that's pretty cool, Ian. Recognizing they made a mistake, go back, change it, make it better for everyone.
Exactly. I haven't bought any Sportograph pictures this year, so I don't know for sure. Some of my friends who have said they're slightly better. Unfortunately, on some of them, the raw photo itself wasn't good enough anyway, so there wasn't much they could do. Lipstick on a farmyard animal, I think is the old expression.
Yeah.
But at least they're trying. And hopefully that will now translate into making sure that the photographers and the equipment used is appropriate. Because if you're not good with light, you can really get caught out when it comes to Hyrox. And I'll be honest, Alan, something I've noticed Hyrox is doing recently, the photographers, is they're using flash more. And I don't think it's for the better. I think the Hyrox pictures were better with less light because it really gave you that industrial feel that we all kind of like. And I also want to see what Spotograph do when it comes to Tough Mudder and Spartan next year. Are they going to mess around when it comes to the filters used, or are we going to get better pictures?
It's a valid point. I think Spotograph they've got to not mess up, they've got to mix up their photos. You know, we don't want Spartan photos and we don't want Tough Mudder photos to look exactly the same. They've got to mix them up. They've got to put a filter on, like they've done with Hyrox. Putting that filter on with Hyrox made their photos amazing. They've got to put some type of filter on both Tough Mudder and on Spartan and make their photos stand out like they've done with Hyrox.
They do. And the only thing I will say with Hyrox photos, and I know Graham always jokes about this, but when it comes to many Hyrox photos, it could be any venue because they're always the same type. And carrying that over to OCR, I'd like to see different angles. And for example, when it comes to like Spartan and Tough Mudder, we're aware that they use the same obstacles.
Yeah.
How about putting some thought process into the angles you shoot, depending on which race it is? So if we are using the same cargo net, because for whatever reason, Mudderhorn is not available, how about having the Spartan from, I don't know, as people are crossing? Meanwhile, or when it comes to Tough Mudder pictures, why not get in the obstacle and get people as they're climbing up?
That's always got me. I thought that when they built Mudderhorn at Tough Mudder, they've got a platform, and I've always thought to myself, why aren't they on that platform? Why aren't they still on that platform taking pictures of people as they're going up Mudderhorn? I remember at Overload, we use amateur photographers, so we reach out to the local amateur photography club, and they come and take photos, and we pay them. We pay them a good rate, but we use them. And I remember one year we had, I can't remember her name now, but one of the photographers actually got underneath the cargo net and laid on the floor. So as people were coming through the cargo net, and there were some of the best pictures going.
Sometimes it's all about the angle, isn't it? If you get
Yeah.
a unique angle, it just makes the photo so much better.
It does. Yeah.
Right, and on that, we're going to leave you to this weird period where you're not sure what day it is. We won't speak to you now before the new year, so I'm going to say Happy New Year. Enjoy yourselves on New Year's Eve, and we will definitely be there when, sadly, many of you are going to be back at work on, I want to say Friday the 3rd, if I've got that right. So we'll be back Friday the 3rd. We hope if you are at work next time you're hearing us, that it's an okay day. And with all that being said, it's a goodbye from me.
And listeners, thank you for listening. You take care, you stay safe, you keep on running. Have a great new year, and hope 2025 is a good one for you. See you all soon. Bye.